Yes, I can hear you. There's also some news coming. I think Sydney, do you have the TV on?
Mentioned that this kind of mentality is spread much farther and wider because of social media sites and experts.
Yeah, thank you. Now I can hear it.
Because she is probably tuned to her television, probably.
Yeah. It sounds like that.
How are you, my dear? Everything is okay?
Everything is fine, and a little different in the temperature, because I see that you have about 24 degrees and I have minus something.
-10, -5. Come to Dhaka, a much better place.
Yes. No, I'm ready, and I can switch on to start the presentation when you like.
Yeah, we have 2-3 minutes, but stay tuned. All right.
No problem.
I'm handing these things. Everything is going to be run by Galib and Sadia. Both are here.
Yeah.
I think Sadia and Galib, you come to the stage, please. Let me go down. Let them run the show. Yeah. See you soon, my dear. I'll be in the downstairs. Yeah. Okay, let's start. Okay.
Okay. Well, I welcome everyone to our third session of today on West meets East. Our very close friend of this festival, Mr. Augie, is online. He is actually going to, I'll just wait for a few minutes, and then we'll go there. 1 second, please.
Yep.
Okay, it's already 3 o'clock. So, okay, welcome to our third session of today's West Meets East from Dhaka International Film Festival. We had 2 sessions today, these 2 morning, and both the sessions were very vibrant and interactive. And I'm not sure whether Augie can see that we have few filmmakers. We have an audience over here, and also among them few aspirant filmmakers who had actually participated in our both sessions earlier. And we are expecting Abu Shahid Imon to join from Goa. But meanwhile, we are very happy to welcome Sydney and our main speaker for this session, Augie Hoffert, who is an experienced distributor and film buyer from Norway. So he's going to present a lecture on international co-production and from Europe and USA perspective. And our friend Abu Shahid Imon, who will be joining soon, will be doing the same thing on local perspective. So may I ask Augie to please take over this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you in Dhaka. It would have been nice, but during these strange situations, we are not allowed to travel. So I have to talk from Norway, and I hope you can hear me, everybody there. I have loved film since I started the school. I've been loving the film, and I thought it was just for fun until I was 12 or 13 years old. Then I found out it's actually going to be a profession. It's possible to work with these things. And I found that very nice. And here I am 50 years later. I'm having now worked in the different type of the distribution and buying films and so on for 40 years. And I can tell you all that it's been great fun almost all the time, but it's also been a lot of work, and of course this is the most you can find. So I'm going to talk about co-production and a little bit other things today. So let us just try to set up this and I can share my screen with you. Let's see. Well, then the host must disable screen sharing because I'm not allowed to share the screen. Could you do that from Dhaka to just say that I'm allowed to share my screen? Yeah, that's okay. Now I can do it. So now you can see the start here. Actually, you have to learn a little Norwegian first when we start, because this is something from an old newspaper that I just wanted to start with. Because a few years ago, a Norwegian newspaper asked a lot of kids what were their highest wishes. And they said, as it says in Norwegian, fred på jorda og gratis kino, which translates to peace on earth and free cinema. Let's go back to where we were last year. I started last year when I was in Dhaka by telling if you want to buy a cup of coffee when you're in Berlin or in Paris, you can have a €1 coin, and you might see where Norway is, but also you might not see where it is, because if you have an old coin, if you look there north of Denmark and west of Sweden, there's no country there. But if you look at the newer coins, you can find it. The one to the right is the proper coin, where you can see Norway. There's some differences between. Dhaka is far east and not so far north. We are 60 degrees north and just 11 degrees east of London. And of course, the biggest difference between when you come to these countries is that you have more than 1,000 people per square kilometers. And in Norway, we are just 14.
Wow.
Let's see what we're talking about today. First, I'm going to tell you a very short story on a small country and how they came into film production. Then we're going to look at film festivals in Europe and in the USA and all over, actually. Not in your part, because that's going to be taken up by someone else afterwards. We say a little bit about seminars and co-productions, and also I think together with that we have to look at talent development, which is, I think, is a very great part of this. And then just a few seconds about language and glossary, and then we're going to take a little bit a look on when and where you should present your project, because it matters. What do you need to get into this? And I'm going to talk a little bit in the end about the South Fund, the Sørfondet in Norway, because I think it's a very relevant fund to talk about. But let's start with the small story about this little country. This is a picture from a fantastic country up west between Norway and Greenland, somewhere out in the ocean. It's called Iceland. And during the 80s, they had no film production at all. So they wanted to have their own film production. They're a country of storytellers. I mean, in Iceland, 1 out of 10 has actually published a book, which is probably a world record. But they wanted to have a film production during the 80s. And how do you get to produce films in your own language when you are only 240,000 people? In the 80s, there were just 240,000 people. Now they're 300 and something. And Bangladesh at that time was 90 million. And so they had to do two things. One of them was something that I think no other country has done. And but the other one was to get into co-production. Because if you want to have films produced for 240,000 people in your own language, you need to co-produce, and that's what they were doing. The other thing that they also did, which is a little bit more difficult to accomplish, I think, is that they said, if you want to buy a ticket for an Icelandic film, you have to pay double price But people wanted that because they wanted to have their own production. So that's the story of Iceland, how they came into production, co-production, and also the double prize then. Let's go to film festivals in general. There are more than 3,000 film festivals around the world now. And out of those, more than 500 are international film festivals, which have international screenings, and a lot of them also have industry sections. So in this industry section, you can participate a lot of places, but some places you're not allowed to participate if you're not an inhabitant of the country. But let's look at some of them. Toronto is one of my favorite festivals. It has been now because I've been there a lot of times, and it's becoming better and better for every year, I think. It's very well organized, and they say that it's the US but run by the Swiss. That's how they look at Canada. And I think Toronto is really a place where you can experience the whole festival thing. You can have a lot of people are going there. There's lots of audiences are there, and there's a lot of things going on. And for buying and selling, it's really a place where you can accomplish everything. They started in 76 and they have cinemas and they're working the whole year round. And they have the industry program. In the industry program, in addition to screenings, they also have conferences and they have talent programs. And the industry program in Toronto is, they had in 2019, which was the last year where it was possible to have a regular festival, there were almost 5,000 people at the industry program. And they also managed to have 165 speakers, out of 48% actually were women that year. So they know what they're doing. And they have a talent development program. And that is what I want to say in a lot of these things we're going to talk about today, that if you're not able to get into the co-production, you should at least try to get into the talent development, because that is what often leading to co-productions, when you meet people around and you're a part of this talent development. Toronto, I use now as an example for when we talk about Toronto Film Festival, we talk about the Toronto International Film Festival, the TIFF in Toronto. But it's not the only festival in Toronto. Actually, every year, all these festivals are arranged. And in addition, there are a lot of more festivals arranged now and then, but all these festivals that are here are actually every year in Toronto. And this is what I think when you're trying to find out about festivals, you need to really check out what kind of festival is it. And when we're talking now from Dhaka, one of the interesting other festivals that the big Toronto Festival is cooperating with is the Real Asian International Film Festival, where they also have a lot of industry opportunities. Mostly it's for Asian Canadians, young people going to production workshop and so on, but they also have a program called Codes of Contact, where they're kind of learning people how to build a network. And the networking thing is, of course, really interesting. So why do we have so many festivals? Yes, of course, it's because, as The Guardian here tells us, the social impact and financial benefits are undeniable. So having film festivals actually helps the society as well. One of the big festivals that are coming up now, this year only digital, is the Berlinale. And the Berlinale has a really good working co-production market. And how do you get into this? Well, I can tell you a little bit about that. It's very good run by Martina Bleis and Katja Bildhauer and the other people working there. So you're really taken care of when you go into this. And before Christmas, they pick up 35 projects that they want to use. And then if you're selected, you're then being part of the co-production market. And how do you apply for it? you must have a production company, and it must be, the application must be there between late August and the end of September. It's not possible to apply in July or something, because they put this out in late August, and you have to be doing the whole application before the end of September. You must have completed at least one international co-production. This is, and you need to have minimum 6 months between the co-production market start, the co-production market and the start of shooting, which means that if you're applying in August, you're not allowed to shoot before the next August. So you have to have at least 1 year between the applying for Berlinale and when you start to shoot. And this is really important, because you're not allowed to bend the rules here. It's absolutely not possible. Then you're excluded. You have to carry your own expenses, and you have to have a budget of at least 750,000 euros. If you're from Bangladesh, then from other countries like Norway, you have to have at least 1 million of budget, but still it's not a small film. And you need to have confirmed at least 30% of the budget. There's a hatch here, you can actually have lower if you granted national production support, then you can be below 30%, but mostly 30% of the budget has to be confirmed. You don't have to have it in the bank, but you need to have a letter from someone saying that this is confirmed. If you have had a film in Berlinale before, then and you're a director, you do not need the 30%, because they keep 3 slots of the 35 open for directors who has had a film in Berlinale before. And you have to apply with the treatment. You're not applying with the script. You're not applying with a shorter synopsis or anything. It has to be a treatment, and it has to be 4,500 words approximately in English. If you don't have that, you have to read it. You have to make it. Berlin is just one of the big festivals around. I won't go into every of them, but if you like to have a good place to find all the festivals, you should go into the International Federation of Film Producers Association. Their website has really good lists of all the festivals and different type of festivals. And beware, because someone is trying to fool you sometime. You can, this is another website saying how to spot a fake film festival, because there are festivals out there trying to get your money. So you have to pay so and so, and you can get into the big festival. Check out that it's not everybody who is honest out there. But film festivals are coming up all the time. This year, I think most of them will be digital. At least all those you can see here will now be digital festivals, and people are not allowed to travel there. A lot of these festivals, they have co-production markets, but they're not always open, because often these festivals are made for their neighboring countries, and they are financed by the neighboring countries and so on, and you're not allowed to get into it if you're not part of the society around, except some of the other festivals, which we are going to take a look at now. But first, this expression usually says that you can't just talk, you have to do the work as well. But I will just put this opposite today, say that it's not enough to do the things, you also have to know the way to talk. So you should actually know what this means in financial terms. I'll get back to that. Let's just take a look here at the ABCs of production language. There's a lot of expressions being used in the film business as something else than it is else. And I would say it's important to know this language. You should read all these things, and you should read the trades and see how they're talking about things, because this, all the different type of they have a meaning. And a few years ago, there was a Norwegian executive in a big company, and he had a meeting with the Norwegian producer, and they sat down for lunch, and they were talking for almost an hour. And in the end of the meeting, he said to the producer, "I hear that you use this word MG a lot. What is that?" And this guy is no longer in the business. You have to know what you're talking about, and he was so pleased, and he was happy, and everything was fine, but he didn't know what he was talking about, so he was out. And that's why I started with this waterfall when we started here. When you're going into co-production and you want to talk business with people, you have to learn the waterfall thing, the recoupment waterfall. And you can find this online. There's a lot of models for this. You can find some really difficult and nice things out there. But the important thing is that you have to know when you start to talk co-production, where the money goes. You have to find all the financial models that puts the money where it should be. And I started with this Norwegian waterfall in the beginning here. Another example that illustrates this might be taken from Bali, because it's the fair distribution of water, which is also how you see the money going out in the business. You have to know these waterfalls. Okay, let's go to another festival, International Festival of Rotterdam, which is coming up now very soon, but they have split it this year. They have a little bit coming up now, and then they have something in June. They have Rotterdam Lab, and that's also one of the places where you could get in before. 69 producers from 31 countries are selected there, but you have to be selected by one of the pro partners for the festival. And these companies you see under there are some of the pro partners. But it means that if you're not selected by them, you're not going into this Rotterdam lab, which is a good place to be. And the same goes with, you should think that when you read something called When East Meet West, it would be perfect to have the eastern part of Asia to co-produce with the West. But that's not true for this festival. This is Trieste in Italy. When East meets West actually means when the East Europe meets the West Europe. So the countries under there are the only one that are selected. And this is same with, for instance, Sundance, the creative producing lab and fellowship there. If you want to be part of that, you actually have to be American to get into that. They had something called a New Frontier Lab, and there you can get in. That's the place where you can be, except that for 2021, it's not going to happen. They have paused it because of the corona. Locarno Film Festival used to be also a good place to go with your films for open doors. But they're changing every third year, then they change to new countries. So if you want to get into open doors now, you have to be in Southeast Asia and Mongolia. But you can still get into the Open Doors Toolbox, which is resources and content to help filmmakers to develop their projects. And the countries that are eligible to go into there now is Bangladesh and several other countries, as you can see there. Another festival which started actually as an answer to Sundance Festival, with little irony, people sitting in London saying, well, we have the rain, and so we have the rain dance. So they dance for the rain and to get some money into films. And this is a place, as they say, to discover and be discovered. So that's also a place to get into for young people. And they have a lot of courses out there, among this strange thing called the 99-minute film school. And they have more than 60 producing courses that you can get into. And of course, before you had to be in London or in LA or in Dubai to have these courses. Now all these courses are online, and they're not really expensive, so it's possible to get in there, and then you can learn something special about it. For instance, if you like to know about the legal contracts with the American law, if you're going to set up a co-production deal, or learn other things, you can go in and take a look at. I myself, I'm a little astonished that they have something called Women and Filmmaking in Dubai, but I think they have some thoughts behind it. Another schedule or scheme that I think is very good is the IAVA, That's for no European producers, but they have something called the IAVA Plus. The 11th version edition is coming up soon. And there it's possible to have a kind of scholarship to get in there. You can look into that on the IAVA website. And talking about possible co-productions and big festivals, we cannot not say anything about this festival, because Cannes is, of course, the biggest circus in the world for the film. It's the place where every producer, every distributor, and everybody who is making money in this business are present. And they have also a lot of different schemes where you can get into, and you can meet the people there and make deals there. But they also have a program called the Cine Foundation. So if you're in the film school and you have a film, try to get it into the Cine Foundation, because when you're in there, you actually will be supported by the festival. And the most important thing I would say is that you meet other people that you later could co-produce your film with. It's really important to have this international. And the American film market coming up in November is also a place where they have a lot of courses and talks there, and also the place where everybody in the US business are present. It's kind of, it's a little bit expensive to go there, because you have to pay $500-600 just to get in, and it is in the outskirts of LA in Santa Monica. Not very cheap to stay there, but you can meet everybody in the American business at that place. Screen Daily is also a place where you can find a lot of information about all these things, and here they're talking about the World Cinema Fund, which is in Berlin, and they award a lot of projects from all over the world to their things. There's also a net place called Film Festival Research, where you can find more academic research about film festivals. But to another really a good place to go is actually the Norwegian Fund. How strange that I should mention that. No, it's actually a very good fund for world cinema, and they have already supported 42 films, and they have a wide area of eligible countries where you can come from. Actually 85 eligible countries now, and that's Bangladesh and 84 other countries. So if you're based in one of these countries, it's possible to get support from the South Fund in Norway. And you need to have a production company and a director from one of these 85 countries, and you have to shoot the film. It has to be shot in an eligible country. And the other thing, which is the clue here, you need to have a Norwegian co-producer, a minority producer, but they will apply for the fund. You don't need to do that yourself, and they will take care of everything, but your share is going to be paid out to you, and you have to do the reporting. That's something I really would recommend you to go into and take a look at, and it's called Surfond in the website. You can see it up to the right there on the screen now. And deadline is coming up now. So if you're quick now, it's possible to get into that or to do an application before 1st of March. Go into the website, take a look, and it's not difficult to find the Norwegian co-producers. You can find online sites to find them, and you can find more information on the Norwegian Film Institute site. Before we end, I just want to say a little bit about the work in progress, because more and more festivals have work in progress. It's a very good place to find a co-producer if you need the money for the post-production or something. But very important, you have to read the regulations closely here, because most co-production schemes do not allow that you have started to film. You can get into work in progress somewhere, but then you can not at the same time apply for co-production support because it's too late. The festivals, as I said, more than 3,000 of them around the world. You can find a lot of good information about all the festivals here at the filmfestivals.com place. And that's actually what I wanted to tell you today. We're at 24 minutes and 30 seconds. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Ogi, for your excellent presentation. I think all the filmmakers sitting here will benefit from it and will be interested to apply to some of those funds. We have Imon, Abu Shahid Imon, who is at present in Goa, who has some idea about co-production fund, especially in this area. So could I ask Imon to join in and share his experience with us regarding co-production market? Imon. Imon, can you hear us? Oh, I don't know. Imon is there, but probably he's not be able to hear us. But meanwhile, can we go into the next phase? Can we get question answers or so? Okay, well, Imon, we are trying to connect Imon. I will ask our audience over here, where there are some young and aspirant filmmakers, whether they want to ask any question. Actually, Imon got disconnected. I don't know what's happening at his end. Elizabeth or Rawan? No, okay. I'm not sure why they are not going to ask any questions. So shall we? Sydney, or okay, we'll go to Sydney. Okay, Sydney, if you are prepared to say anything and actually wrap up the whole sessions, then we'll have, or we can take a break if you want.
I'm not going to do the wrap up until Eamon has come. I hope you can make a phone call to him to get him. And mine is totally a separate presentation. But while I have the floor, thank you. Age, I think that was so brilliant. What a beautiful presentation. You're a very good educator also. I hope everyone understood, because the material you presented, I learned so much from, and it's so important what you did. I love your giving a glossary of terms, how important that is. I would add, and I will in my own presentation, the role of an international sales agent and what a distributor is as opposed to being a sales agent, because those are the people that license your film to countries, who are distributors, who get the film seen, who make the money. And that final money in the waterfall is what a consumer will pay. And that final drop is the most important waterfall drop of all, because that's where all the cash comes back, hopefully, that you just spent to make the film. So I think you were just brilliant. I love that. I loved how you put the FIAF, F-I-A-P-F films in there. I saw so many things that I would like to do myself next time I give a presentation. What other points? I don't know if AFM is so great unless you have a sales agent doing the buying and selling. It is not a friendly place at all. I would not spend my money to go to AFM. If you're there, maybe, but otherwise it's not worth it. And the other one, just a note, Sundance, because of COVID, closed down almost all its international initiatives, which is really sad. And I don't think they'll reopen them. So there's only one event lab that they have, I think in January, that's open to international as well as American filmmakers, which is really sad. It's a real loss for America to have the chance to do international co-productions. But there is in New York and in LA, the independent film market, which is IFP, who's changing their name in New York, but Independent Film Project in New York has a workshop. And in LA, there's also one, I think it's called No Borders. And otherwise, I don't have much. I mean, I just congratulate you on that presentation. I'm so impressed. Thank you. I hope we can get your partner in here, Ayman, to talk about the Bangladesh one. It's so important also. Any news? We could take a break.
Okay, Yvonne is in Goa and we have just had a chat with him. He is, the network is not very good there. So he is actually moving to a slightly different place where the network is supposedly better. So I think it will take him 2 to 3 minutes to connect with us again. So I don't know whether we'll take a break till then or
Should we take a 5 minutes break and then be back in 5 minutes?
But I think we should keep going. Sydney, do you have anything else to add to what you have just said?
Kind of hard. I'm looking at my notes that I made as Age spoke. What have I got to say? I really don't know without giving my entire presentation, which I don't want to do right now.
To sing, play his guitar and sing something meanwhile.
We should take a singing break. Okay,
I think I'll prefer to go and get me a cup of coffee.
Age wants a break, and I don't have anything to say. I don't talk enough, but.
Should we say 5 minutes or?
Okay, 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay, we're gonna get a cup of tea.
Platforms and how we as new filmmakers can submit our projects there. Right now we have a very special guest with us, Sakib Bhai from Hoichoi, and he basically takes care of everything from Bangladesh that goes to Hoichoi. So any questions or anything you have regarding sending your projects to that platform, you can ask him, and he can also share his experience for a little bit while we're still on break. Sakib Bhai, I would like to call you here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadia, for having me here. If there any specific question that you want to know that I can answer, so.
I can talk on behalf of the audience and what we've been hearing so far in the last session. The first thing people want to know is how they can submit their projects. Like if they already have a finished project, how they can approach, or if they've already, like they have a good profile and they have a new project that they want to make with you. So there's two phases. How can they get attached to you?
Well, we usually go for any content from the scratch. In a ways like somebody share the story, then if we like the story, then we just go and develop it. We haven't taken any finished product is somebody made, because what happened to those finished product is we don't have that much of control in the creativity, since we have to make sure that whatever is coming to Hoichoi is something that, because we know our customer, we know our subscribers, so whichever the content is coming, so we know the content is actually like this. Only thing that we have taken so far, which is film, because film is something that we are not making it, but predominantly Hoichoi is very much known for its series. And so whatever we made so far from Bangladesh and also from India, predominantly Bangla content, and these people, so usually it's a very standard and very simple process that we actually follow. Somebody just share the storyline, which is popularly known as synopsis or something like that. So if we don't look for who the cast, because this is something. We always give them a priority, the director or the writer, if they think this particular cast will be this. So we never interfere in the cast. So if we like the story, then we usually say, okay, if it is a series, then we tell them can you actually divide this storyline, not the script, by the way, storyline in a 5 to 6 or 7, 8 episode breakdown. When we got to know that this is the storyline that's going on, then we actually start developing the script. There's the people developing the script. We do have a very kind of 18 to 19 years experience group of people who's taking care of the creative part. So they always help the scriptwriter and other people to develop the story. Once we developing the story, then at the same time, simultaneously, what happened is, character profiling is also created. Then the star cast, the star of the cast of the story is actually what you call decided. Then budget, then pre-production, post-production. That's how it goes.
So now we're making. Okay. So Sydney and Augie, I'd like to introduce you to our new guest, Saqib Khan. He is. Officially country head of Hoichoi. So Hoichoi is one of the biggest platforms, OTT platforms, streaming services that are operating here. And we had a session about OTT right before the lunch, and we were just adding some things about it here. And let me introduce Saqib. Sydney is an American film educator, and she is here with us every year. And Augie is also here with us a lot. He's a Norwegian film distributor. So they will be talking, Augie will be talking about co-production, and Sydney will be wrapping up with a lecture. So Saqib, we were talking about OTT, and I want to know that you already created a very well-received a series, not just one. You made Mani Hani, there was Bagdir, and even Ekatur. So these were very well received by people, and we have seen Ashfaq Nikun's new work. So are you now commissioning series more or films more, or how many are you commissioning right now? What was just a ballpark figure?
Well, as I said, that we are predominantly actually making series first, because that's what we found, that people has very much connected with the series, because each series has a kind of a cliffhanger in after each episode. So people love to see series more. We wanted to just taste the water and how it goes for if it's a one stretch content, let's say for 100 minutes or so. Koshtuni, that which was released last Friday, which is a very much family drama. This is something kind of new in OTT also, because not that many OTT platforms are actually trying to make something like family drama, because mostly if you see most of the contents, not only in Bangladesh, even internationally, they make content based on very thriller or suspense kind of stuff, because the audience or the TG of OTT that we found, they like actually fast-paced content. But we just wanted to try, why not? Because in Bangladesh, as you can, most of you, I don't know from which generation, but in 80s, late 80s and 90s, the content, the TV content that we have seen, let's say from Eshabdin Ratri and Bahubri and every single thing, those are all very much family things. Somehow it's missing badly in the mainstream media, and we have like 7 characters in that Koshtuni Rashfaknipun's story, and not that many contents are actually currently developing in the TV and others where there's all that many characters are there. So we wanted to just see that this is a family story, but at the same time it's kind of a country story also. What's happening? So we got a very decent review from the people. Yeah, just we wanted to see, but we want to go slowly regarding the one stretch content. We definitely, our main priority is to make more series in Bangladesh. So series is definitely a high priority, but every now and then, whenever we got a very interesting story regarding, it can be a web film kind of length, let's say 60 minutes to 90 minutes, we'll surely go for this thing. Otherwise, series is something that is our main priority.
We're seeing a lot of ad makers making the series. Is there a certain agency that people have to go through to get their content on Hoichoi?
Not really. The agency comes because they work as an executive producer, because what happened, because we have a standard procedure of commissioning any content, let's say whatever the total budget is. So we usually give this amount in 3 to 4 installments. So what happened to directors, our production houses, they actually don't have lots of money to start with. So that's why we have somebody in the middle who can help these production houses to continue the project. Money should not be an issue, so that they can continue the project. And for their benefit, the agency's benefit is it's actually the supervision fee, exactly how ad actually works. So so that's what we do. They don't need to go to any agency. They can come. They can do.
Would you like the coffee or any snacks?
Coffee is fine.
Excited about it. Yeah, so I hope we get to talk later after this talk. And yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for thank you, Shakib, for actually informing us and entertaining us for this 10 minutes while we had disconnected with Imon. Imon, I think we can see you on screen. Imon, are you connected?
Yes, I'm connected.
Okay, we would like to hear from you. We had taken a break, and in that break we had spoken with Mr. So please, the floor is yours. We have heard what
Hello, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you and see you as well.
Okay, great. So basically, I'm right now in India. Like came in the Goa Film Festival. So there is we just actually walked to the red carpet, and that's why I couldn't connect. I just suddenly got to know that like we will be like presenting our film since Elio's Dhaka. So I think I really missed the session, Galib bhai. I'm sorry that the timing did not. HER actually this West Miss each session we discuss a lot of interesting things, and possibly this very good opportunity. So today I'm going to just quickly talk in general that I think the topic that I will cover is like what was my experience during the pandemic time. And I will quickly share that how we actually ended up producing 3 feature films in 3 months at a stretch, one by one. And I think like how the COVID time has like really given us a lot of like energy boosting. I think that could be one thing that we can discuss. So I think the in Goa Film Festival this year as well, they're holding it hybrid. So like a lot of, due to the pandemic, there is a lot of things happening where you don't really have the chance to physically, even for the festival. So Age was like given like a lot of list, and he was also mentioning the uncertainty around it. And also due to this rise of OTT and like, you know, their preservedness of taking the projects at first into their own, you know, platform and all those things. Actually, global festival circuit will have like a difficulty in their journey in coming months. So I think producing wise, we have to kind of be more attentive and design wise, it has to be very intuitive and very unique, because otherwise it will be very difficult. What I mean by that is I found that last couple of months when we were like in a deep uncertainty of like how to make different projects and how to handle different projects and how to design different projects. I found one thing that like a lot of time it happens that when we designing a project, we kind of like don't assess the budgetary and like, you know, return wise, like how to design it nicely. So during the COVID time, when we actually were designing 3 projects, one we produced with Pipluar Khan, and the project name has not been yet announced. Then we produced another film with another acclaimed Bangladeshi director, where I also invested my own money and all. And there another project with Fazle Rabbi Mridha, No Ground Under the Feet, and with Nur Imran Mithu, Patal Ghar in Bangla. So during producing those films, like one thing I understood that the segmentation and the way we actually incorporate the casting and incorporate the design of it, that could be some example. I think like once the film will be released, then we can actually, after watching the films, and then maybe in coming years, I can give a more visual presentation of like how, and this is actually I've been doing as part of my own understanding of like how to design, curate a project, and like maybe then actually send it to different festival circuits and so on. So this is like very initial stage. The shooting is done, is currently under post-production. And I think like in coming months, we'll see the results that how that coming through or are going to be going through. So Galib bhai, I think like it will be better to actually, if there is a question answer from the audience, that will be easier for me to concentrate right now. And you know, maybe if the audience wants to ask something, rather than me giving like a specific lecture while, you know,
And he has something to ask. I think.
Yeah, I have a question. I didn't quite understand. You produced 3 films during the pandemic, and you're saying the design is important. Can you tell me, were these films filmed with people talking to each other without masks?
Yes.
Did you test all of them before they started?
Yeah, of course. Before beginning of we actually partnered with one of the famous Bangladeshi COVID test center, Prava Health. So they did test for all the crew members before we actually onboarded everyone on set. And that's how we actually designed the thing. And another thing is that during this pandemic time, one thing we understood is, you know, like if we actually stuck on this, and I have kind of like a very different understanding throughout this pandemic time. I had a very counter understanding about this co-production process that happens, because I've been to the co-production market myself since 2010, and after 10 years I found that like this co-production market thing kind of like slow up the process at sometimes for the stories that needed to be made immediately. So all this project had an urgency. Like for example, in one project there was this flood scene. So if we actually miss those dates for that 6 days, then we'll not find the location exactly, and then we have to wait another year for that. So we actually aggressively designed it, we shot it. And then there was another film where it has to be done during the lockdown period so that we get the feel of it. So we actually did the COVID test, we did the proper precaution, and we shot it so that we get the lockdown period on the screen. So what I'm saying is like, sometimes we can curate and design projects which can take a long time to like, you know, produce it. And sometimes you do projects where you feel the urgency of like that filmmaker is feeling the urgency, and then you kind of like do a self-finance or like a like a sponsored finance or something like that, and then you produce it like on that time. So actually in August, September and October, in these 3 months, we shot for 15 and 18 to 33 and 20, 53 days for 3 feature films and get it done all. And right now, all the films are in post-production stage, doing the sound, and maybe like in coming months, we'll be starting distributing those.
And how will you distribute them?
Actually, we have pre-sold the several rights for them. We have already sold the TV rights. We have sold, we are in talk with several OTT platforms. And maybe before it goes to OTT and television, then we will definitely run it to the festival circuit, and we'll see how that response goes. And after that, we'll have a theatrical run for at least 4 weeks, and then we'll go to the other platforms.
I have a question for you, Imam.
Yeah.
Actually, on the production since 2010.
Sorry, I cannot hear the question.
You've been touring the co-production circuit since 2010.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So can you share your what were your first film, Jalal's story was a part of Asia's Cinema Fund project.
Yes.
So, for the new filmmakers, can you just give them tips on how to get into this co-production market?
Well, I mean, like anybody can apply in the co-production market, prepare their projects, prepare a log line, synopsis, and treatment note, and all those things. But I think what my understanding and take on this is like, first of all, we have a huge lack on producing. That's why I myself has actually turned into a producer from a director. Of course, I'm going to, hopefully, if everything goes well, I'm going to shoot my own film this year. But the thing is, I understood one thing. When we actually designing a project, if we don't have a perfect producer who can actually even do a scene assessment, means scene valuation, that actually how much each scene can cost, and actually where we are shooting, how we are shooting, how much is the length from the central location, where is your base camp, who is the casting, how that casting can impact the overall technical and also the marketing aspect of the film. If all those things are not pre-designed, then what happens is we spend up time out of confusion, and at the same time the project does not happen. So in 2010, when I went to the film festival circuit, and like I went to different co-production market, I thought maybe you go co-production market and then you get a lot of money. But like it doesn't happen like that. So if your film is like good, and then there is like certain co-producer from certain countries, for example, if you have a French co-producer on board, maybe they can only apply for you into the like Cinema du Monde or Sud Fund, for example. So once they get the money, they will get their commission, and they will give the rest of the money to be spent in the country of production. Or sometimes they get, like, for example, a Danish fund, but that fund will give you only the sound post. So the real money that needs to be spent on the market is uncertain unless or until that particular co-producer does not get that money. So I think this is, of course, a great pros if we get that money, because you don't have to pay that back, because it coming from the respective countries' people's tax money. So you don't have to pay that money. But I think at the same time, the comms is, it takes a long time. Sometimes you lose the interest of the same project. Sometimes if the co-producer does not get that money as part of their application process, then also it might happen that if they don't get the money, means they don't bring money on board directly. So those terms and those understanding takes couple of years. So what I don't know, whoever is listening from Bangladesh, I'm going to share the very practical experience that if you want to like really shoot your film, you have to get a good producer, first of all, from Bangladesh or like from any other country to be on board, who actually will understand the process, will design the project, and who will actually assess the project, how much this film has to be made. For example, there are films like which probably needs to be made like in a certain money, because otherwise the money will not come back. And as part of the art film circuit, there is also another intentions, and I also suffered personally myself because of that reason. Maybe I'm not making my own film for last 7 years, that we have a huge expectation that my film has to be made on like 5 crore. But the market is not ready to pay that money, then how are you gonna make that 5 crore? Then you wait for the co-production, and the co-production doesn't happen. Then you ended up being frustrated. So I think whatever the story that we want to tell, we have to design and a little bit of accommodation, and then with that accommodating self of yours, if you want to really tell that story, you have to tell that story, because nobody is going to push the film, and it's the director's inner drive which can find a good producer, and the producer's inner drive and understanding of a project to push it forward and make it happen. And that's how, like, not only these 3 films that we produced, actually during this pandemic time in last 3 months, we also produced one web series where actually we collaborated with like 5 Bangladeshi directors, and like we produced 5 contents, each 30 minutes each. So if you consider those as a project as well, so that means 8 projects. So how you work like a machine, how you design things. And there are like 7, 8 films that we are actually also lining up. So I have a very different understanding of producing, like what or how it works than what I had before in last couple of years. And the main drive is to understand the project very well, to understand the project's budget it should be made, the understanding the market, understanding of the market where this project will be distributed, and understanding of the whole curation process, how practically we can achieve the vision that a particular director has seen for a project. So I think this producing aspect of the thing, or the line producing aspect of the thing, are more important at some point of the production process, and where the film can actually get lost. So this is where I think a lot of Bangladeshi cinema gets failed, and this is my personal understanding. Maybe I don't have yet the thesis points of this, that actually how that happened, but like maybe in coming years I'll give a more specific presentation about it, and I will tell. Yes.
Okay. Understand actually young makers to go through to get into the production market, and what obviously that's sort of we can get the 2 point of view from this film production market, what the producer wants and what actually our film has gone through. So I think there is someone who wants to have something or have make a comment. Overall, okay, please.
Hello, hi, I'm Elizabeth. Hello, Imon bhai, কেমন আছেন?
Hi Elizabeth, I'm fine. How are you?
Thank you again for your brilliant presentation. I mean, honestly, I don't have any questions because you were so to the point, and it really, like, I'm waiting to go back home and start doing my homework. And thank you, Sydney, for your nice feedback. And Imon bhai, honestly, like, yeah,
Did I spoke to your mind?
yes, kind of. Yes, yes. Honest, yes, you did. And there were some.
I'll just tell you, like, pausing you one thing, because you know, like, I have been to this all co-production market, and this is the counter negativity that's like I'm going through like for last couple of years, and I don't know how that's build up into me. And yesterday I was talking with one filmmaker who we pitched together in Film Bazaar in 2016, and his films also did not get made. So I had like a 1 hour intensive discussion with him, and I was trying to find out why. And during this entire like 3-4 years period, I produced like more than 12 feature films, and how I did 12 feature films, and why, like, you know, those particular filmmakers are still into that frustrating zone. Then I actually understood one thing, that is, this idea of the co-production is like so overrated, and the understanding of it is also so overrated, that it's actually about time we start discussing about this, and don't give the filmmakers too much hope of this international co-production opportunities. Because, you know, like in Bangladesh, the government grant of Bangladesh is actually more than the World Cinema Fund. It's actually double. But people are not preparing their project for the world. They're preparing more interesting project for the World Cinema Fund than actually applying to the local Bangladeshi government fund. So I think like the perception of like being into the festival and then actually going through this festival circuit is cool. I mean, like, you come over there, they give you the red carpet, they give you free wine. That's very nice. But actually surviving through making cinema and actually making money each day through that, whatever the Bangladesh Bank has published the notes, and then that notes actually somehow converting into your account, and you are actually doing it by creating art. I think this entire thing need a revisit, at least from the Bangladeshi point of view, because Bangladeshi market is very unique and different. And we have this misconception. And I think in coming days, I'm going to speak more about my personal experience. I might be wrong, but like, I would like to speak more honestly, to the point, to the local filmmakers. Then don't hope big. Write the story that you really feel urgency to make it, then pitch it to the right producer. He's going to give the design, how that should be approached. And after that approach is done, then you just shoot the film, you make the film, you come bring it to the audience. And mostly that should be for the local audience. If it is locally working best, then International Film Festival would find it interesting. If it is not good for your local audience, then there is no point of making it for the international festival from like a very different point of view. So I think something over there has changed over the course of last couple of years. And I think practically we need a better understanding of this entire co-production works. And of course, there are films that got benefit last couple of years from this co-production market, but that number is so few that there is a lot of hopelessness over there. And that's why I wanted to tell honestly to the local filmmakers, whoever is listening to this, or whoever my students are listening to this, that just find the heart of the story that you really want to produce. If that really needs to be made, it will get made. Karma.
Thank you.
Abu, it's a great, Iman, it's a great point. I remember in the old days when the international world was not quite so big, we in US would look at the box office. And if there was a big hit in Italy or in France, then we'd look at that film. If there is a really big hit in Bangladesh, the filmmaker is doing what they know, which is what a filmmaker should be making, a film that is dear to their heart, something they know about already. If it appeals in a really great way to their local audience, they have proven that they have the talent, that international buyers, sellers, producers will take note. So I agree that you should start at home with what you know and how to appeal. Learn your own market first. Then you'll start to understand market forces for others, and they'll start to understand you. Very good advice. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
I
thank you. Thank you, sir.
I totally agree with you, Iman. If you want to have an international success, you can't start by trying to make an international success. You have to make local success, because if you don't have a success at home, you will never get the success abroad.
Thank you, Aggie, for telling this. I was like, honestly, when a film gets into the film festival circuit, for example, it travels, for example, my film Jalal Story, it traveled to like 50 international film festival. How many audience were there? Like in 50 international film festival, maybe like couple thousand, maybe 5,000 audience, if it is 100 per screening or something like that. But the local market of Bangladesh is like 170 million. And in Kolkata, they are also speaking in Bengali. There is 18 million. So altogether, we have a 35 million Bengali audience market. And our filmmaker in Bangladesh sitting over there. And when I'm talking to India, because India has like 28 different states, and 28 states means actually 28 different cultures with 28 different languages. So over here, independent filmmakers are actually struggling worse than actually Bangladeshi independent filmmakers. So when I talk to Bangladeshi filmmakers, then I kind of like don't understand that why they're frustrated, because they have a ready market of the same language talking to the 35 million people. Why they're not making content for those 35 million people, targeting them only? Because at the end of the day, this is a profession, nothing else. It's like any other profession, like farming or industrialist or being like driver. It's just a profession. But we are creating art, and that's why my art has to be understood by a European audience, and he has to appreciate that this pressure of like overburden of being so artistic is actually making us slow. And this realization is coming from my own experience, because it took me 7 years to realize that. And since I realized it, so I thought I should honestly tell to my local filmmakers that, look, if you really believe on the story that you want to tell, first target your local audience. If they really understand, you get your money back. Somehow keep on making, because even Abbas Kiarostami, before Taste of Cherry was in Cannes, nobody knew Abbas Kiarostami. He was been discovered after 4 or 5 features. The same thing happened with Apichatpong. His early films were not recognized, but once he was recognized after the Uncle Bunmi, who recalled his past lives, now everybody wanted to restore his own film. So if somebody constantly keep on making, one day, if he has got the right passion and uniqueness and unique voice, I'm sure that he will be recognized today or tomorrow. And highest recognition will come if he can give the producers money back, the financiers get their money back, and if he's also buying his bread and butter from the work he's doing, not just depending on the co-production money that coming from the different sources. Getting co-production money is great. That's not, there is no question about it. It gives a lot of different exposure. It gives a lot of different networking. But I think the most important thing is to find giving the birth of a film into the local market with the local money and cater it for the local audience and finding the own inner voice. I think that's what I really wanted to say to my fellow filmmakers.
Yeah, I totally agree again. And I will also say that one of the biggest chances of getting a big flop is when a local producer is saying, well, we'd like to have an international success, so let's shoot it in English. And that's also something that goes down the drain every time.
Yes. True. Again. And thanks, Sydney. I think like last couple of years, we have been in a physical space where we were like talking about the same thing. So this year during the pandemic time, okay, we have a screening. Okay, sorry guys, I have to go to the screening, but it was so lovely to see you all. And of course, like we'll be, hopefully the pandemic and all those flu will be going over from the world, and we'll be again meeting each other and making more films actually. Thanks, Aggie, and thanks, Sydney.
Yeah, we hope to have you back.
Okay, thank you.
It was great to see you. Thank you.
Okay, so we are actually going to the, oh yeah, okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Oh, now, Sydney, can we go to your session now?
Yes, we can. I will use the screen share. I'm going to do a PowerPoint. Age, it doesn't come near yours, I got to tell you. This is really, well, never mind. Thank you. So let's see if I have some notes before I start. Just what Iman said is so important. And starting, he said, to understand the market. It's all market. It's great that a filmmaker has an artistic vision that they want to convey, but this business of ours, it's a business. It's a public art. The public has to pay. So to understand the market is part of my explanation of what I'm going to be talking about, but I want to say how important that is. And I also want to say the terms that Age gave us, very important. And I want to add to that, and I'll mention it again in my presentation, but I want to add that when you speak and you don't know what a minimum guarantee is, you're out of luck. If you speak and you don't know what a distributor is and what an international sales agent is, you're going to be talking the wrong thing to the wrong person. You do not want to talk to a distributor. You want to talk to an international sales agent. The agent will talk to the distributors in their countries. And I'll go over this again, but those words are really important. And another set of words that you'll talk about with people that get totally confused are buyers and sellers, because you want your film to be bought by an acquisition executive. Now, an acquisition executive works for the international sales agent. You want them to buy your film. And an acquisition executive also works for a distributor who speaks to the sales agent. The sales agent in the market terms is the seller, and the distributor is the buyer. But if you just talk buying and selling, you're not going to know if you're talking to a sales agent or a distributor. It gets very confusing. So you need to use the right terms and ask the person you're speaking to if they're a distributor in terms of international sales, or are they a distributor in terms of a territory in the world that they put it in? And we'll get to that. So I will go on the screen share and start with my PowerPoint. If I know how. Is it there? You see it? Can everyone see it? I can't hear anyone. It's good? Okay, thank you. Okay, so I don't know how to get my little me out of the way. Okay, so how do we link arms around the world, east meeting west, never the twain shall meet? How do I move this? Let's see. I don't know how to move it. All right, so I love Sri Aurobindo. If I had a guru, it would be Sri Aurobindo. And he says true knowledge is not attained by thinking, it's what you are, it's what you become. When you enter the film world, you become the film world. Your being is there. However, you must know the basic rules of protocol in whatever society you enter. Once you live as an integral part of the film society, I see I made a, sorry. Oh, now I'm lost. Sorry. I've got to go back. Stop the share. Sorry about that. I'm not aware how to use this thing right. Wait a minute. Sorry about that. Started off great. Where am I? I can't make this thing go backward. It's my problem.
It's one of the easiest things to use the arrows back and forth.
Yeah, I had no arrow on that screen, and now my screen is going really nuts. Okay, wait, I'm getting there. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. Be patient.
Yep. Another occasion for Augie to sing. Augie wants you to sing.
Oh, sorry about that. Now you see too much, I think, right? I need to set the view. So we only see one slide at a time. Goodness, I need an expert here. Do you see this screen? I can't see what you see now. Now I can't get back to my.
You see the big screen, but if you go use slideshow over there, yeah, a little bit to the right, on top there, to the right.
To the right.
No, on the left side, but to the right on the left side, you have use slideshow.
I see stop video, participants, new share, page share, in show. I see in show. I see swap displays, use slideshow. Oh, now do you see that?
That's perfect.
All right. Okay, so here we are, but I see no arrows for me to use to move this screen to the next screen. Unfortunately. All right. So, all right, let's hope it works. So you need to know what the protocols, what the rules are of the society, the film society you're entering. And once you know the basic steps, which I'm going to tell you here, then like a dance, you can make it your own and it becomes your own. When you learn the dance steps, after that, you're not thinking about the steps, you're just dancing. So this presentation is designed to enable you to reach out and enter these networks that were designed by the West to create a strategy to present your film to the world and to further your careers in a way that becomes who you are. But remember to start at the top. You may think, oh, I'll never get into Cannes. I'm not going to even try. I'll never get into Berlin. I'm not going to even try. You must start at the top. You may not make it at the top, but don't start at the bottom thinking you're going to build up. Even in Bangladesh, you start at the top. You go for the government funding. You go to the events that are offered. You start with what's most important, and that is at home. But you don't start making little films that make you happy. You start with learning at home what the steps are toward production. Now, we're going to talk about art versus commerce a little bit more. You make what is dear to your heart. And many people are going to want to make it fit their criteria. You need to know the market so that you know how to adjust what is in your heart to what's going to appeal to people. And we'll talk about how you learn about the market. But you as the creative person, really, because you're doing a public film, a public piece of work, need to know how to speak to business people. And together you all can create and distribute a work of art. And the mix between business and art is quite volatile. And it's on the circuit that these relationships are initiated. You discover who you get along with and who speaks your language in terms of your vision. But you also need to speak their language in terms of them getting a return on the investment that they're going to make in your project. Now, a vision of the overall world in the market, business to business, when you go to the market, and we'll define what that market is, but we all know it's Goa, it's Cannes, it's Berlin, it's Toronto, as Age said, and as Manisha said earlier. In that market, there's about $3 billion changing hands among filmmakers, financiers, international sales agents, distributors, and marketers. But the consumer spending, that waterfall where all the money starts coming back, is about $88.4 billion worldwide, much, much bigger. So the global box office, that is theatrical, and of course, everything is different now because of COVID. There is very little theatrical, but in 2017, 2018, it was 40.6 billion. And it was growing every year. Now, what is that independent circuit that I keep talking about? And why does it matter to you? Who's on it? How do you get on it? When do you get on it? Where it is? How do you market yourself? And what will be the changing super future? We have no idea, unfortunately. This is an annual film circuit. It's not at all the one I want to show you. I hope the next one has that one. Oh, I hope I have the right one. This is a very simple annual film circuit. And if you see the black arrow on the lower right side, it says Montreal. Let me cheat here. I'm going to stop the share for a minute and see if I have the right one to show you, because it doesn't start with Montreal. It actually starts with Mumbai. Now I have to find it. I did this yesterday after getting all my points in order, and now I see it didn't get saved. Hold on a minute. Where is that? Age, we need you to sing a song while I take a break and find that slide. Sorry, folks. Where is it? Not there. Doggone. Sorry, guys. I have to find that film circuit. Shoot. I'm turning myself off too. I don't want you to sit and watch me do this. I'll be right back.
We're even hearing from the audience that Augie must sing.
Yes.
Yeah. Augie, just play.
It's a little bit too early for that. I'm sorry. This is morning here.
So it's morning.
I promise that I'll sing with you when I come to Dhaka next time.
Oh, with the audience as well, because people in the audience are also asking for it.
Yes.
We have this song we used to sing that's called Rag Bhuludi. That's for the morning especially. So morning is the perfect time to sing. We know it. So please just grab a guitar maybe. How many guitars do you have? We've been seeing so many.
It's probably too many. Yes. No. I think that spending money on a guitar is actually not spending money, because if you have a good guitar, you can sell it for the same as you bought it. So it's just putting money into a guitar for a while, and if you like to do something else, you can. It's not spending money.
You can sell it back, right?
Of course, yeah. No, but it's really relaxing when you sit work, and like I do here now. I've been working at home for 1.5 years in my home office, and then it's just to go back and just play a little. That's very relaxing.
Okay.
How many people are you in Dhaka now at the festival? Are you can you have regular screenings, or do you have to be just a few people?
Yeah, so we're sitting in like one seat intervals. So we've blocked one seat and then another person can sit. And we have like half of the house full right now. Not bad. That's a lot during pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the audience will wave at you now. Due to sing.
Yeah, that's good to see. Oh, a lot of people. Hello, Ahmed.
The population density you said was in Norway?
Pardon, what did you say?
The population density in Norway, you were showing us the statistics.
Yes, in Bangladesh you have 1,016 per square meter. In Norway, it's 14.
Yeah.
And these 14, they don't spread even. They live in cities like other places. So you can, in Norway, it's actually possible to go out in the mountains and you can walk for 2 hours without seeing one person.
Oh. You come across like lions or tigers?
And there's really a lot of snow here now. When I went to the place in the mountain where we used to go, just 1.5 hours from Oslo, it's 1.5 meters of snow.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So just for entertainment and while we're waiting for Sydney, did you know actually that you have a really good cook sitting in the audience?
Want to say it again?
A real good cook.
Huh? Who has a question? Okay, great. Can we give him a mic?
Hello, hello. Hello. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Good evening. My name is Asif, and I have a really personal question to you. And I'm watching a Rickenbacker behind you. Can you please tell me what makes you feel to have a Rickenbacker, actually?
Well, the reason why that is because when I was like 7 years or 8 years old, I saw that the people in the Beatles, they were playing a Rickenbacker, and I always loved that sound. So when my oldest son was 20, we went and bought this together, and we've been playing it, both of us. And it has this old 60s sound that I love.
Sorry, there was a technical difficulties with the microphone. Yeah, I was also thinking about that because in my perspective, I was also seeing the Rickenbacker using the Beatles, and it makes a bit unique curiosity towards a musician. So actually, how it sounds. So it's my personal curiosity. I didn't actually hold a Rickenbacker before, so it is also a bit unique things for me to see behind you. That's why I'm asking the question. Thank you so much for sharing.
Well, thank you. It's good to see that someone loved these guitars. But now I think we can give the word back to Sydney. She's
Thank
there.
you. I thought we were going to hear a song. Okay. I'm going to try and share this screen of the film circuit as I revised it last night. It's revised according to what Minisha showed all of you and according to what Age has talked about. Let's hope it goes on. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So it's rather messy because all the bold black are what is relevant to South Asian Film Festival filmmakers, and what's in red are workshops, etc. So if you look on the bottom right, you see a black arrow with a black circle, and it says Mumbai. And right above that, penciled in, is London Indian Film Festival. So this is the annual film festival circuit, and I'll explain it beyond just the black marks that I made yesterday. If you start with Mumbai, that's in September. This is when the annual film circuit begins. This is when the market starts. It's been summertime, things slow down. They don't stop, but they slow down in the summer. And when it comes fall, we have Mumbai, Venice, Telluride, there are little circles there, and Toronto. Toronto is a very big circle. Toronto is where everyone in the world goes to see the new films that are going to be submitted for Academy Awards, that are available to buy and sell. Toronto is the big event. It has shorts, that's why the yellow is there. It has documentaries, that's why there's a little pink. And of course, narratives, that's fiction, feature narratives, take most of the room at Toronto Film Festival. But you see it begins in Mumbai. And you should begin as close to home as you can, unless of course your film is accepted at Toronto or Telluride or Venice. Those are small festivals. They have only a few films. Not everybody can afford to go. They're expensive, but they are important on the circuit because the professional buyers, sellers, and producers go there. But it starts in the fall with Mumbai and Toronto. And from there, there are smaller events coming up, but they're not necessarily for South Asian film festivals because Trinidad Tobago is the Caribbean. San Sebastian is Latin America, even though it's in Spain. New York Film Festival, most of those films already have been in the market and have made it big. Then there's IFP No Borders. If you're going to be in New York, that's a really important co-production market for smaller filmmakers, independent filmmakers. If you're there, it's worth going to. If you get your film accepted there and they pay your way, it's worth going to. Otherwise, it's too expensive. There's the AFI Fest, which goes on exactly the same time as the American film market. Age spoke about the American film market. And while it's good because there's a lot of business going on, it's not so good if you don't have a firm, strong foothold, and it's extremely expensive. But if your film gets accepted at the AFI Fest, which is happening at the same time across town, and for us, across town means in Hollywood versus where AFM is in Santa Monica. In a car, it takes an hour to get there. The traffic is so bad. So you're not going to mix the two. But if it gets into AFI Fest, you can take a day and go to Santa Monica. You can take 2 days and go to Santa Monica and push your film there. But that film should have an international sales agent already at American Film Market selling it. If it doesn't, stick to the festival. Buyers and sellers go to the festival as well as to the market, depending on where they live. And right smack after that is Goa, or the Film Bazaar. You'd think, although today we're in February and Goa's not there anymore. Goa has moved. So this is what's happening in the year to date. A lot of these festivals are going online. They're changing their time period. Even Cannes, even Berlin have changed their time slots. Everything is in flux. So while you look at this map here that I have given you of the film circuit, be aware that it's not all that accurate because everything's changing. But continuing in the fall, there's Tokyo and there's Busan, important for South Asian filmmakers because a lot of networking is going on the east side of the world. This is where East meets West only if the Westerners come. As you continue through, there's Black Nights in Tallinn, in Estonia. Sometimes they'll show a South Asian film. I met the woman who did I met an Indian filmmaker, oh, I forget her film, but we became fast friends and her film went all over the festival circuit. So Tallinn is good. Cairo is slightly, it's Middle Eastern. It could have your films. IDFA is all docs. Ventana Sur you don't care about, it's Latin American. Ajal is family films. And I noticed that we had a speaker who said family films are very important in Bangladesh. Ajal is held in Dhaka, in Qatar. And it's a wonderful family film festival. So actually it should have a block spot there. It's one of them you should look at. Dubai is finished. Now there's the South Asian Film Festival, which is in Los Angeles. And right next to it is River to River Film Festival, which Minish mentioned. So those are two you should be looking at. And then coming up is the new year, January, right here. And after January comes the Palm Springs Film Festival, which shows many foreign language films if they've been submitted for the Academy Award from their country. But right next to it is Kerala, Dhaka, and the Asian World Film Festival. The Asian World Film Festival is in Los Angeles, very important to you. It's not only Asian films, South Asian films that have been submitted for Golden Globe Awards and for the Academy Awards. It's also films that are of interest to film lovers from the world. And it's in Culver City, Los Angeles, California. So as you go through, there's Sundance right there. And as Age was telling you, Sundance does have a lab for international filmmakers, but it has events throughout the world, throughout the year, no longer throughout the world, unfortunately. So it's big. If you're invited, it's not a place you just go to visit. As you go on to the year, you have Rotterdam, which is coming up right now. Rotterdam, as Age said, has its lab. It also has Cinemart, which is projects with a director, some financing, and a script. And they set you up to meet with international producers, financiers, and distributors, and sales agents. If you get in, it's great. They have the lab. They also have The French film school, Cinefondation, is there also. So Cinemart is really important. Plus, they love to show in the Rotterdam Film Festival films from all over the world. So it's an important one for you. And right next to it, don't read that. That's been changed. There's Gothenburg. There's no longer Tehran and Fijar. And there's a short film festival called Clermont-Ferrand, if you've made a short, that your film should go to, because all the buyers and sellers go to this. It's one of the oldest short film festivals in the world. It's in France. So you should submit your short to them. Then right there next to it is Kerala, important for South Asian films. And then comes the big one, the Berlinale, with the European film market, and a little red spot because there's talents, there's the co-production market, there are workshops, etc., as Age explained to you. That's the Berlin Film Festival. And we continue. There is down here the Hong Kong Film Festival and Fijar. Fijar is in Tehran. It's the Iranian filmmaker. That's where Ahmed and I met in the first place. Many, many good networks can be set up in Tehran, and it's a fabulous festival. Then we have some New York festival called New Directors. That is for first and second time directors. It's worth trying. It's at the top. Not everyone from the film business goes, so it's not a major films on the circuit. There are these pink dots, which are documentaries. If you're a documentary filmmaker, you should look at the pink dots on the film circuit and apply. Oberhausen is for short films that are more experimental than narrative, but it's also the oldest short film festival in the world, and buyers and sellers go. And then of course comes the major big Cannes Film Festival, Marché. Everyone in the world is there. All the film commissions from all over the world are there. There are innumerable things happening there. If you do not have a project there, if you do not have something you are very focused on, it's not a place to visit. You'll be totally lost. But if you have something there, it is very important that you go there. And summer starts. And as I said, summer is relatively quiet, but not all that quiet. And there is IFFLA, that's the large Indian film festival in Los Angeles. We have a huge population of Indians in Bangladesh. We have little Bangladesh, people living in the diaspora, plus the professionals who are interested in that area are there as well. Then there's the Palm Springs Short Film Festival. Again, if you have a short film, it's a great place for you to visit, to submit your film. It's 2 hours drive outside of Los Angeles, so you can spend a day or two in Los Angeles meeting people as well. But it's a wonderful festival. And then comes Moscow, which is also very important. Bangladesh has a very good relationship with Russia and with the Moscow Film Festival. Next to that is Shanghai, and then is the New York Indian Film Festival, a very, very big festival, not necessarily attended by professionals in the film business for networking purposes, but definitely well attended by the huge Indian diaspora that lives in New York. There's Stuttgart in Germany, their Indian Film Festival, and then comes Locarno, which of course has its open lab and its open lab toolkit with tools that filmmakers from Bangladesh can use. And then comes Hogasan, and Age can speak to Hogasan much better than I. And so it goes. This is the festival route where you can show your films to audiences that really want to see your films, and you can network with professionals that go there. The other festivals you could go to, but you need to be aware that it costs money to submit to festivals, it costs money to go there, and if you're not going to get some kind of a return in terms of networking or international sales, then it's not worth really spending your money on. It's better to figure out what online platform is going to get your film out to people who are going to actually pay to see your film, and the money is going to come back to you. So that's my circuit. I'm going to go back now, if I can, to my, I'm going to stop sharing this and go back to the PowerPoint that I was working from. Does anyone have a question right now about anything? Am I going too fast? Let me know. Everything fine? Everything's fine. Okay, let me try and go back on my PowerPoint. Good luck, right? Let's see, where is it? PowerPoint. Do you see that PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Okay, now I have to get to that view of one page at a time. There. Coming up. Not one page. Do you see it one page? You see the whole thing. See the whole thing. Use slideshow. Okay. All right. So that was the simplified version of the annual film circuit with the big professional events, starting with Mumbai at the right, Goa or AFM, sorry, Toronto, AFM, Dhaka. Goa is right now, same time as Dhaka, Berlin, and the Cannes market. This is another chronology, and this PowerPoint, if you ask, I will make it available to Ahmed and to Sadia and to whoever is handling, Galid, who's ever handling the logistics, and you can get this for yourself. This list of festivals and events that Minasha made, and I added a little to, has the websites. And as she said, in wrapping up what she said, make sure you read that website carefully when you're applying to a film. You need to know what section of the festival you want to be in. So this, this chronology is rather important to you, saves you time in looking up websites for these festivals. Another circuit is totally different. If you have a television project, then there's a whole nother circuit for television. I'm not going to go into that, and it doesn't have the platforms. The Goa Film Bazaar, as we said, is extremely important, with 200 films from across South Asia being pitched to sales agents and buyers. I think that we heard enough about that I don't need to elaborate here. And for you, the 4 reasons to be on the circuit is, yes, it is fun. It is so nice to mix with people. I dream about going back on the circuit and having a good time with friends I've made around the world. You'll make them too. You'll make the people, the friends, the relationships that will be with you the rest of your life if you can get on these circuits. But it's also important for commerce and networking on a professional basis, and a way to open the windows to culture. We are in an intercultural world, and we need to be able to watch each other's lives and engage in our struggles together. Now, this is one more summary. There are 5 major festivals and markets plus 1. There are 3 major markets that are set up as markets. You have to have a badge to go into the market. You have to prove you're a professional to get that badge. And each international sales agent has an office where you need to make appointments to visit them and see if your film is being bought or sold, or pitch them to buy your film to represent at the next market. Those are Berlin, Cannes, and American Film Market, Cannes Marché. The Berlin's called European Film Market. And then at TIFF and at Sundance, lots of professionals go, and there is lots of buying and selling going on. These are the ones that are most attended by professionals who are buying and selling. TIFF and Sundance, however, are not de jure markets. You can have your festival badge and get into everywhere. You don't need a special badge, a special payment made to be in the market. And then there are 5 major film festivals. That is major because buyers and sellers are all there, all of them. That's Cannes, Berlin, TIFF, Sundance. But the best one really depends on what your film is, when it's finished, what the genre is, how many people from the trade attend, like Goa. Festivals, which are not film markets, play other roles in the life of a film. Yes, Cannes, Berlin are festivals. They're also markets. We're talking about the festival part. Now, if your film has no international sales agent or distribution and you're in the festival, that's where you'll find your international sales agent and distributor with a live audience so that they will watch your film and see how it appeals to the audience and will offer you the chance to represent your film. Now, maybe you already have distribution, and maybe the distributor is for Canada and your film is in Toronto. Then that festival is launching its theatrical release in that territory. Let's say you have an international sales agent from France, like Made in Bangladesh, and the film shows in Cannes. That sales agent is selling the film in Cannes. Maybe it has distribution in France already. It shows in Cannes. That's launching its theatrical release in the territory of France and Europe. Venice does the same. It launches the theatrical release of the film in Europe if it's in Venice. Mumbai, I don't know, but chances are if it's an Indian film premiering in Mumbai, it's going to be in the theaters the very next day all over India. I don't know, but that tends to be the way festivals work when a film has distribution. Now, if you don't get distribution, you don't get an international sales agent, your film's life is on the digital platforms, and that festival may be the place where you're launching your digital life. This becomes more and more important in how you choose the festival you want your film to be in that accepts your film. You need to have your online launch marketing plan set up to match that festival. So your purpose of being at a festival could be to sell your film, could be to get your film into other festivals because other festival programmers are at the major festivals looking for their festival programming for their next festival. It could be you're there to pitch your next feature. It could be there you're meeting fans who like your film, and not just meeting fans, but getting their emails, getting their cards so that they will be online viewers of your film. You're going to solicit them for online viewing and to become fans of your website. Or maybe you're there to network, and probably you're there for all of those reasons. Now, the pitch. Everything you do is a pitch. It begins with your vision. The film, you know what the film is. You're at a festival. There's a lot happening at the festival. You have to keep your eye on the ball. That is on your film, your vision. And the art of the pitch starts not just with your vision of your film idea, what you're there to do, which is pitching your film, but it starts with how you present yourself. Everything you do is a pitch. If you look in a way that someone wants to talk to you, or you look in a way that someone does not want to talk to you, this is part of your pitch. What's different from the game of baseball, where the word pitch comes from, the word pitch in baseball, you strike out, you're out. You, with your vision of your film, may be talking to people who want to talk more about your film or who don't want to talk more about your film. It's not you, it's not your film, it's them. They have their ideas of what they need to get out of a festival or out of a market. They have a very small window of time, and they may not be interested in your project because it does not fit their company's portfolio of what they're needing. But if you strike out 3 times, 4 times, everyone's not interested, you need to re-strategize. You need to rethink what it is you're saying, what it is the market wants. Again, you need to know what the market wants, and you need to plan a strategy that hits the market in the way that they will accept it. Otherwise, you're not out unless you do re-strategize. So the film business, what it really means is selling your film and getting distribution. If you don't have any eyes watching your film, you're not going to make any money. You'll never make another film. Distribution, selling your film, getting the eyes. And that can happen in so many ways now. There's DVD, there's television, there's video on demand, there's subscription, there's pay TV. These are all the different ways of distribution. But just keep in mind, if it doesn't spread, it's dead. The idea is get distribution. Why distribution? Because the fundamental exchange in the film business is that filmmakers are compensated directly for the work they've created. Distribution means money starts to flow, and you want that money to flow back to you so you can make another film, so you can make your reputation. Now, what is distribution exactly? This is a very old-fashioned picture, but it tells the story of what distribution means in terms of cash flow. So if you start at the very top and you call yourself a producer, you're a filmmaker. In the old days, you would make this piece of celluloid, this plastic piece here on your left, and you would make a film. Now it's zeros and ones, it's no longer celluloid, but you would get it into the can, that is, it's finished, you finish the production, you put it in the can. That can was actually taken, sometimes on bicycle, sometimes on truck, by a distributor, and that distributor would put it in a theater, which sells tickets. Today, that getting it in the can and getting it to the distributor is called the international sales agent. International sales agent will put it into the hands of a distributor who in their territory, France, Germany, India, Southeast Asia, Africa, Canada, US, would put it into not only theaters, but onto DVDs, now onto streaming, which is geographically centered in their territory, or not. It might be an international platform like Amazon, like Apple, like Netflix. So that word distributor is not only a distributor in a territory, not only an international sales agent, but also now a platform, a streaming platform, who doesn't put it into the theater, but puts it online. Still, there's a ticket, there's a cost, and it's on the bottom, the consumer who pays for the cost of the ticket. So here you see on your right side, that consumer pays their money to get to see the movie, whether it's in a theater, which will take half of that money for themselves and let the rest of it go up to the distributor, or to the VOD platform. If it's a Netflix, they may have paid you one flat fee and you don't get any more money. It stops there. It stops at the VOD platform. No more money, they get it all. Or if the deal is that they pay the distributor a portion of that money, then the distributor takes out their costs of marketing it, everything they did to get the film out into the theaters, out onto the platform, into the markets. They take the costs off. They take a percentage, which could be 35%, could be 10%, depends on your deal. And the rest of the money comes back up to you. And you see there are only 4 little bills there. The trick in this business is to get that money back, or to be paid for your work. in the beginning, so you don't worry about getting that money back. But this is the cash flow of distribution, and it has basically not changed. It's changed, but you can always understand it as the producer to the distributor to the customer, and the money flows back that way. Now I'm not moving again, it's frozen. Always something. How do you get distribution? Usually I'll draw a picture here, but I don't know how to do that online. So I've already drawn the picture, and this is a picture of you and how you and your film get distribution after the problem of making your film has been solved and the film is done. So there are only 4 paths to distribution. There's domestic, which is really important, international, festivals, and digital. We used to make this picture, and it would have you, this little filmmaker down there with a hat and this old-fashioned Aeroflex camera and this old-fashioned reel of celluloid, and you would be standing on a ground. Under the ground was, having made the film, we call it hell. You're standing on a level platform of ground, which we would call purgatory. You're not in hell, you're not in heaven. And the goal would be, how do you get to heaven? Heaven being distribution, heaven being getting your money back. Now, on this picture, it says domestic distribution. And from this little person goes a window. It says US distribution, all media, 30% of the world. That's for an English language film that's made in US. Domestic means your country. Our country was US when we made this picture. Eamon talked about the importance of reaching the Bengali local audience. This is so important. You have a huge audience. If your film makes it and you get your money back from what they pay, you can pay for the budget of your film. You can get paid back, you can get into profit. Domestic distribution is the most important thing to get. But if you're lucky and you have an international sales agent, they'll make more after you have made your your domestic money. They will make international sales to the rest of the territories around the world, and you can make that much more if it's an international success. That's the role of festivals, co-productions, and events that help you do co-production. If you make a big success in the Bangla market, then you're going to be invited into the international world. You're going to be welcomed into the international world. And you can make your budgets larger because you'll have international co-producers helping you. You can make a larger budget with a larger appeal. That's the idea. That's the second way of getting distribution. The third way, we've talked about festival exposure, but festivals cost money. They don't make money for you. So you have to look at that form of distribution. People are seeing it, it's being distributed, but you have to think about that in terms of marketing. The purpose of that festival is for marketing, for pitching that film, for pitching your next film, and for pitching yourself as a producer, filmmaker, director, writer, whatever it is. The festival is your marketing platform. And then, of course, what we call alternative modes of distribution or new media, which in fact is the #1 grossing platform now, and it's all the internet platforms. They have already exceeded distribution in theaters. That was 50-50 2 years ago. This year, it's next to nothing because of COVID. That leaves the online platforms as the major mode of distribution. It's no longer alternative. Now, how do you begin? How do you stay up to date on what's happening in the industry, which you must do? In order for it to become you and you to become it, you need to know what's happening there. You need to know as faithfully as you brush your teeth every day, you exercise, you go out into the world to make your picture successful. You need to read the trades faithfully. You don't have to read all the trades. And what is a trade? A trade is the business newspaper, like it's also blogs and websites that cover the subject of interest for your film project, that cover the audience and the business in general. In other words, you need to have a digital library for reference and for daily consultation. And if you haven't started this now, you better start now. So you want to keep track of the film events. You want to keep track of those sites and blogs, and you want to read the trades either free online or by subscription. So what are these trades? You can pay. On your left side, it says where to begin, and underneath it says pay trades include. These are a subscription. I would say the best of these film trades is Screen Daily. There's also Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Film Français. In German, there's Blickpunkt, and there are definitely others. In India, on your right side, there's Pickle. There is South Asia, there's a link there for South Asian trades. If you're into shorts, there's a link for shorts, Dazo. If you're interested in Africa, there are trades. In Europe, these are free. North America, they're free. Latin America, it's free. China, it's free. You need to find the one that appeals to you the most and keep track of it. Read it every day. Not all of them, but the one that matters most to you. Now, how do you choose which festival is right? Yes, you should choose a South Asian film festival. Yes, you should choose Toronto, Cannes, Berlin, Sundance. But your film has a genre. If it's animation, there is a whole hierarchy of the best animated film festivals, starting in France with Annecy. There's a whole circuit for documentaries, starting with the largest, IDFA, the oldest, in Amsterdam. Drama, dance, experimental, fashion, fantasy, horror, LGBTQ, music, mental health, spiritual, sports, travel, women, African, Arab, Asian, so many genres. Your film will determine which festival is right for you. You don't have to get into the biggest ones, only a few get into that, but you need to be aware of the circuit for your genre. Now, if you find your festival and your demographic, you don't know where, you can go to Film Freeway or Film British Council or Film Focus, and you can find festivals that fit not only your demographic or your genre, but also you might find them by time period, because if your film is finished 1 month, you do not want to wait 6 months to apply for a festival. You want to apply to the closest, most important festival. Because after your film is a year old, it should be into distribution, because otherwise it's too old to sell. Everyone's looking at the newest films. It moves fast, this business. So you need to find the closest and best platform for your film. Points to keep in mind. Length matters. If you're making a feature and you're a young filmmaker, don't make it 120 minutes. No, it through 120 minutes unless your name is Angelopoulos, or we know the names, I'm not going to go through them. Make it a 90-minute feature. When you make a short, 1 to 18 minutes is best. Good script. If you're in a workshop and they want to know your script, you're not in a script workshop, then you're not going to have the best script. You're there to make it the best. If someone wants to read your script and you know it's not your best, don't show it to them. Show them only the best script. When you make a presentation like I am now, make sure the links work. If I go, for instance, to Film Freeway here or 100 Short Film Festivals, they better work. You've already seen what happens when you fail. I showed you what happens when you fail. I couldn't show you my film circuit Most people would say, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. I'm not coming back. Make sure everything works the first time. Now, when you make a movie, make sure all rights are cleared, especially music. Don't think, oh, I'm not showing it around. No one's going to notice. I don't have the license for this music. Make sure your rights are clear. Target your audience. Don't think your film's going to appeal to the whole world. The major studios make $200 billion with a film that costs them $100 million. You're not them. They're making it to show to everyone. You are a niche filmmaker. You may not be art house, but you are a niche. So know who your audience is and target them. When you meet somebody, have a little leave behind so that they remember you. It may be your card with your website, your location, even a picture, or it may be a cell sheet. It may be larger, but make sure your name, email, and location are on it. And then they'll have something to remember you by when they go home and review their day at the market or the festival, and they'll have something to remember you. Choose your film festivals wisely. Don't just spend money on any old festival. Choose the one the professionals are at. Know your distribution windows that are changing with the technology. As I said, it's no longer theatrical, it's now online. And have a good attorney. Do not make a deal on your own because you'll get screwed for sure. You need to know the deal, but the attorney with a lot of experience in making a movie deal will know more. Have a good attorney before you make a deal. Length matters. I mentioned that. The shorter the film, the smaller the outlet. Elevated series are now very important. We heard the man talk about online, and they're commissioning series now. Educational films, less than 20 minutes. Internet, less than 10. Mobile device, less than 60 seconds. Now, diversity. The world is diverse. It's not only white people calling the shots anymore. We hope that day is over. So in diversity, that's women, that's everything of any color aside from white. This is one place where you can find maybe places that welcome diversity for films. And I go on, the following pages are dealing with women because I had originally done this for the women's conference. And I will share it here, but only quickly. I'm not going to talk about it. There are diverse places to submit your film to. That's all I'm saying. These show where women are welcome, grants for women, a diversity director, workshops for women filmmakers, etc., and more. And again, if you get this presentation, you'll have the websites to go to. They're all linked. More on women film festivals, more on Women Fest links, and documentaries. If you're making docs, here are some links to documentary film festivals. There's always a hierarchy. The hierarchy being the best, the top is where the most professionals go to buy and sell and to network or to have a workshop. Same international sales agents, ISAs for docs. These also sometimes take fiction features, but these are the top international sales agents for docs. You can also use a website the American Film Market has, which is really, really good for finding the right sales agents. It's the best. It's better than Sonando. It's better than IMDb Pro for finding international sales agents that would fit your film. There's short films, and you can go to the short film corner, which is a very crowded, not very efficient market, but it's there and you're in Cannes, although the short film corner starts after everyone has gone home who's buying and selling feature films. So you need to be aware it's not the best place if you're interested in the feature film market. But they have links, and you have links here too, and visitors who are buying and selling short films or streaming short films or putting them on television. Once you're selected for any festival, what do? First of all, you don't wait for the people to come see your film. Before you go, you get a delegate list. And before the festival, you email the people that you believe are really going to care about your film. They could be festival programmers, buyers and distributors and sellers. But you need to know beforehand that they really care about your kind of film. You do not want to email someone from a company that has no interest in your film. It's a waste of their time. They're going to remember you're wasting their time. You want to target your market. You want to show them a picture of your film and when the screening time is and how to contact you, a link to you and where you are, what part of the world. And then before it, you want to seek out and talk to those targets. And after the screening, you want to talk to them again. This is your job at a festival. Age talked about the different components of a festival. This is just one, Guadalajara. The film festival itself, you can see at the top, up top, has many, many different kinds of segments, different showcases. That's why you want to go on the website and find out which part of the film festival are you applying to. The official selection, the shorts, maybe they're honoring your country, maybe it's a special screening, maybe it's a screening on environment and they have a special section. You need to know. Then of course are the workshops, the film markets, talents, docu-lab, co-production meeting, works in progress. And so you need to be aware of all the components of a festival so that you can take part in the ones that matter most to you. And that goes for every festival you go to. There are the labs and pre-markets, and Age talked about that. First of all, there's Goa. There's also San Francisco, Sundance, Berlin, Rotterdam, IFP, No Borders, Film Independent in LA, Torino Labs for screenwriting. Players on the circuit. As Age said, there are 5,000 festivals a year. Now the international sales agents, there are only 450. If you look at the bottom of this page, there are 25,000 new films a year. Some of them make it to the market. A market might have 2,500 to 4,500 films being offered at the market. If there are only 450 international sales agents and 25,000 new films, they're not going to all have sales agents. Whether you fall into the category of having a sales agent or being in charge of the film yourself, you need to be aware of the market. And this is the overview of who the players are. There are 2,500 distributors in 60 territories. And as I said, how many markets there are, how many films per market, it's all right there. Now, how do you find out who's on the market? I mentioned the second one here, American Film Market site. It's free. It offers views of international sales agents and their films, and it's free on the Film Catalog online link. That, to me, is the best place to find the right international sales agent. Sanando has it. If you are in the Cannes market or many other festivals or markets, then it's free. Otherwise, it costs $100 a year for non-participants. You don't have to pay. Go to the American Film Market catalog. It's better. And then there are bumper issues of trades in Cannes, Berlin, AFM, probably Mumbai. I haven't been. But if you keep these trades, the bumper issue gives all the films showing who are the sales agents, and then you don't have to go online. You take that bumper issue of all the sales agents listed that are there and their projects and their products, and you take it home and you have a point of reference without always having to go online. Let's talk a little bit about the international sales agent. It's linked here to one of them who explains his role. You can see the link on your own, but what he's saying is a sales agent sells a finished film. he also or she also pre-sales packaged projects and films in progress. They also place films in the strategic festivals and markets. So if you have a sales agent, you no longer have to think about what festivals and markets you need to go to. They'll do it for you. They also screen the films for the trade, and sometimes they act as executive producer. If they're helping to get your film finished by pre-selling it, they're going to act as the executive producer. You need to know which sales agent of those 450 is right for your film. And as I said, you can go to the American Film Market site and find out. You need to know the terms of a contract. Even though you're not going to make the deal, you're going to have a lawyer with experience, but you need to know the terms. And sometimes you might have your own little wish of what you would like to happen. That wish can be put into legal language. So don't discount your own private, oh, I wish it would, I don't know what, could I know? So you can always have a lawyer put your wishes into legal language. Another point is this role of the international sales agent, that costs him money. And the cost it takes to sell the film, your film, to put it in markets and festivals, to screen it for the trade, the cost gets thrown back to you. So again, with a lawyer, you need that lawyer to say, there's a cap, it's only so much, because you will not start making money until that sales agent makes that money back. So it needs to be capped. You need to know who the festival programmers are, because on the circuit, you'll meet them by accident. And it helps if you know their name and say, oh, I know, you are the festival delegate for India and South Asia at the Berlin Film Festival. I'm so happy to meet you. And as we're at the Dhaka Film Festival, there's Meenakshi right there. You can meet her online in real life. If we were really in Dhaka and she was really in Dhaka, you might bump into her as you're standing in line, as you're waiting for a cup of coffee, anywhere. So the more you know, because you've been reading the trades every day, you know who the players are, the more you can be valuable when you have a conversation. The more you can, the more you know, the better it is. And these are just a few names with their links, with their emails, I believe, maybe not. Yes, with links to their emails. These are just a few. You need to know as many as you can. You need to know their names so that when you meet them, you can talk to them intelligently and so on. This is just one example. Now, what about digital do-it-yourself and blockchain? Of course, you know Netflix, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, YouTube, Hulu, Google Play. These are the big ones. But then there are the other platforms like Z5, Eros Now. You can find others. There are many others. It says learn more, Wendy Bernfeld. Wendy Bernfeld made a fabulous blog, you can link in right here, where she mentions innumerable platforms. And each of these platforms will pay you a little money. And as we talked in the early days of digital about something called the long tail, you may not make a hunk of money because Netflix pays you several millions of dollars for the rights to show you their film. You may make little bits of money over a long period of time. That's what the long tail is. And Wendy Bernfeld shows you only the main ones, but there's so many platforms, and there are more than what she shows you here. But this article is definitely something you need to be aware of. And the Film Collaborative is a nonprofit independent filmmakers site with lots of resources, all for free, that you also need to be aware of, because you are going to have to be in charge of your film. No one's going to take it and do everything for you. You need to know what needs to be done for your film, and you may not have anyone else doing it for you. You need to know the difference between an aggregator and the platform. You can put your film right on the platform, or you can give it to an aggregator who puts your film and a lot of others onto a lot of platforms. If you're doing it yourself, you're going to make more money. You need to know if that aggregator goes through another middleman or two. I mean, there's so many things to be aware of once you get that film done with the online platforms, but you need to educate yourself. And blockchain used to be talked about more. It's talked about very little now, but I believe blockchain still is going to become important, because what it does is it allows you to collect the money firsthand with no middleman, no other agent taking a share of it. So you need to keep an eye on what happens with blockchain. I don't mean Bitcoins, I mean blockchain. Do it yourself again. These are some sites that will help you if you are doing the distribution yourself. Sundance Artist Services is very helpful, and I should have added, but I just learned it today, that Locarno actually has artist services, its toolkit. It belongs here also. Now, when and how do you get on that circuit? As I said, start close to home. You can choose a big one like Sundance or Cannes, or you can choose a genre one like Outfest if it's LGBTQ, Citrus if it's horror, Annecy if it's animation. When you go, maybe you get on the circuit because you're going as a writer, director, or producer to a lab. Maybe your film is a work in progress. When your film is finished, you'll go to a festival, a workshop, a lab, a co-production market, pre-markets. You need to know what there is and decide at what point do you get on the circuit. Marketing, pitching, publicity, and advertising. Purpose of all marketing is to convince a target to support the movie. A large part of the movie's income is based on your convincing methods that you're using with a targeted audience. Publicity is free. Do interviews on television, local radio, podcasts, news. Advertising is paid for. That costs money. You have to think carefully about that. The cost of one sheets, which is a leave behind at a festival. You show them a one sheet of your film. The cost of screenings, postcards, and targeted emails and mailings. These are all part of your pitch, and pitching is part of your marketing. So how to market, some top tips. Remember, every event and every festival and every market is different, so you have to tailor make it each time. Pitching and marketing have to be tailored to each person as well as the occasion. And one pitch is only practice for the next one. You need to have advanced planning. You need to be very proactive in your participation, and 90% of the business is follow-up. You need to follow up. You want to screen the film to trusted advisors as early and often as you can to find out what they think, to build awareness and a commitment to the project on their part, and to learn what the market is asking on your part. You need to social network your film with online platforms, websites on the subject matter of your film, on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. You all listening to me know much more about this than I, but it's definitely a part of your film marketing. If you have a moment to spare, get in touch, keep in touch with a network of film friends, fans, peers involved. Keep the process going. But you don't want to overdo it because they'll get sick of hearing from you. You don't want to overdo it. Ask for solutions to problems. That's one way of staying in touch. You want to involve your network to ensure excitement and participation, not to get them tired and sick of hearing about it. But be aware you need to be networking when you can. If you want to read some books on the business, these are all linked. You can link to them, read more. And in the end, remember, and we're not quite at the end, but your intellectual property's goal is to reach an audience, and the connecting line is through marketing, whether that's the pitch to the cash flow and revenue stream. It's always marketing. Now, I'm going to give you another thing. In the old days, we used to go live to markets and festivals, and there's always a party. And parties are a lot of fun. But in a festival or market, you only have 10 days. So you can't just go for the fun. You need to work a party. You need to network a party. So here are some points about partying. We all love parties. Now, there's body language. Learn to read body language. This picture is linked to an article from the Wall Street Journal, and it talks about the smartest ways to network at a party. And it shows you, number one, this couple, they're facing outward, that's open position. They're inviting someone to talk to them. Group number two, uproarious laughter and high fives. Wall Street Journal says they're having too much fun to try and break in. I say, not only are they having too much fun, they might be sealing a deal. Sometimes you're having a fun time and you're making a deal at the same time. You do not want to interrupt. If you think of it as a dance, number one is open position in a dance. Number two is closed position. Now you might go by there and see somebody whose eye you catch, and they may smile at you. It's not an invitation to join. It's an acknowledgement they see you. You want to keep walking. Don't interrupt. They may be making a deal. Don't ever interrupt anyone ever at these parties or anywhere else, because everyone has so little time. They're trying to make a point if they're talking. Don't interrupt them. The third group looks bored. So you could join them and you could enliven them. You might be a hero. The fourth one, 1,000 watt smile, business cards in the pocket. Avoid him. He's probably selling something. And this old person by the food, looking outward and smiling, he'll be very happy if anyone talks to them. I want to share how I do a party. I go to parties because I know I might meet someone. I'm older and I'm tired of parties. I don't go in order to meet people anymore. I go in order to see if I know anyone there that could be important to me. But sometimes I don't know anyone at a party. And you, who are young, will not know necessarily anyone at the parties, but you want to go to the parties because you might meet someone. So the way I do it, and I'm shy, is I go into the crowd. We have no social distancing at parties. And I look at everyone as if I'm looking for someone in particular. And looking for someone special, I can see everyone. They see me. They see I have some business in mind. If I know them, I can stop and talk. If I don't know them, I don't feel like a fool going into a party, not knowing anyone. And it looks like I know someone. They think I know someone. And I get to see everybody. I'm in the thick of it. Then after I do that, and I don't know anybody, I've done it. But the next job is I go around the periphery of the room and I look one more time without being obvious, without being a fool, making a fool of myself. And I see, do I know anyone? And if I don't, I'm almost ready to go home because I'm shy. I don't want to talk to someone new. I have one last rule, and that is I have to talk to someone, just one person. And often you might know the name of that person, and you might have something to talk about, really. Or that person may just be really nice and you'll see them for years after, and you'll always have someone to talk to when you don't have anyone else to talk to at a party in one of these markets. I have my friends like that. We know we can always stop and talk to each other because we don't know anyone else, but we don't have a whole lot to say. We ask how the family is. And over the years, we become friends. So talk to one person. You may find that opens the door to talking to more people, or you may find that you can go home now, but you've done the party. Very important. Rules of etiquette. How do you get someone interested in you? You talk about them. So it helps if you already know them by reputation. So if you've been reading the trades, you know who is who makes the deals, who makes the films, who's having trouble, who's being sued. You know the gossip. If you know the person, you have something to talk about. If you don't know them, ask them about what they're doing. Ask them about them. They don't care about you. They care about themselves making a deal. And that gets them interested in you. If you know who they are, they'll be so impressed with you that they'll say, and who are you? If they don't know who you are, at least you'll learn who they are. I say learn to dance, and I don't mean learn to dance. I'm not going to learn the Bangladesh dances, but as that picture showed you, there are positions. As I said in the very beginning, there are protocols. This business is like learning the dance. If they're in open position, talk to them. If they're in closed position, do not talk to them. Learn the dance of the business. Don't cut in a dance. Don't interrupt a conversation in the party. And don't take anything personally. Sometimes people are rude. Sometimes they are so not interested in you. Remember, it's never you. They don't know you. It's them. They are probably looking for someone to help them. Or if you're trying to interest them in your project and they're so not interested, maybe they were just fired from their job. Maybe their company is going bankrupt. You don't know what's with those people. So no matter how they act to you, don't take it on yourself and think you're not a good person. It's you, you're all wrong. You might think that anyway. Well, stop yourself from thinking that. It's not you. Do not take anything personal in the business. It's business. For all its niceties, it's still business. And that brings me to the end. And I hope you find this useful. Please ask whoever, Ahmed or whoever, for a copy of it if you want. And if you need questions answered, you have my email here. And do not share this with other people. It is copyrighted. I'm allowing you to have it because you're a part of the Dhaka International Film Festival, but don't share it with all your friends. And that brings me to the end. And so here I am again. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Sydney. That was so informative, and I think it will help every one of us here. And we're at the end of the Westmeath East section, and I think the closing remarks will be done by Ahmed.
I don't know, Sydney, how to thank you. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful presentation you have made. And as usual, I mean, I printed every article of yours in our celluloid. So it might be helpful for us to print this article. I mean, you can give me, I mean, the next couple of 2-3 weeks or something like that, so that I can publish with the 6 articles of the keynote paper from the Women Filmmaker section. I'm gonna print it end of February. So before, it might be helpful for me, because it's a very informative, very interesting, the way you have described your papers, and I personally be benefited because during the film festivals, I go to every party, yes, of course, and it helps me. I mean, some rules I got from your points is a very most important things is very interesting, which I didn't know before. But most of the party I know many of them, of course. I don't feel I'm completely alone or something, but it's very important. And for the other things, I mean, the whole things you have described where they should submit their films and everything, the information about the co-productions or whatever it is you went through. It's a long. And Westmeath East program and Women in Cinema conference everywhere. Sydney is the best. I mean, you have proven yourself as a well-experienced person. Of course, Ogi, he had a long experience, of course. He's a producer and distributor, academician, of course. He's also very admirable person. I mean, we loved him very much. He was in Dhaka too, like you. So thank you very much. It was wonderful, and we had last 2 days we have the Women in Cinema conference, and today Westmeet East program. And especially, I thank these two young boys and girls. I mean, there's A.K. Reza Ghalib and Sadia Khalid. I mean, the young blood, these two, they have done this last couple of days because I didn't interfere anything. I told them, do it whatever you want. Tell me whom you want. I'll make the contacts, but if you need anything, just let me know. But they did everything with themselves. Thank you, Ghalib. Thank you, Sadia. You have also done excellent job. And we are very happy this, all the conversation is in our website. I mean, is in our Facebook page. So people can watch it later also. They can learn and they can see everything. So that's the most important thing. These documents will remain. Before we didn't have that opportunity. This pandemic actually give us some, some kind of help also. I mean, how to documentation all these things. I mean, through this internet. I mean, through this social media, we are keeping all these things. So that's the very most important things. So thank you very much. And but today is our fourth day of the festival, and the open air show. Today we have the legendary leaders will be start from today, and tomorrow we have the seminar of Satyajit Ray. It will be also very interesting part of this festival is going to be happen, and then end with the closing ceremony. Before there's no more seminars or anything, but tomorrow we have another one. But these things already, I mean, I think, I don't know, last 2 months back, I didn't think about that festival I could continue. But almost major events has done. Only one thing, two things is remaining, a seminar and the closing ceremony. So let's hope for the best. Inshallah, everything will be all right. We can continue. And with your supports, we have done. Next year, I want to see you guys in Dhaka. And of course, we'll have a more better, I mean, we will do our best to do the next festival as a good festival. Thank you again. And thank you, Ghalib. Thank you, Riti. Thanks the audience who made these things actually. So many young filmmakers and so many viewers is there. And this pandemic, people came out and come to the theater. That's the most important thing. Some of our screening, believe me, I mean, jam-packed. I mean, all the showing, there's a one theater full of audience. Last couple of days is happening. But in the morning, it's a little bit empty. But in the evening show, these are full. So in 2 days back, our volunteers said 100 people couldn't enter because the auditorium was full, completely full. So that's an interesting thing. An open air show, around 400, 500 people are watching movie. This is also very interesting. Though I expected more, of course, but let's see. Maybe it will be more next time. Thank you again. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.